Good morning. My name is Bill Fugit in Denver, Colorado. I'd like to do a presentation for you today about Index Universal Life, some of the reasons why we need it, some of the ways how it works to do things that are better that we have other choices for. The three things I really want you to consider and think about this morning is, number one, there's three things that can really happen to us between now and the time that we actually eventually pass away. Number one is we die too soon from an accident or something occurs. Number two, we get sick. Or number three, we live too long and we actually end up running out of money. Now, I live in a world of statistics in the insurance industry, and the insurance industry tells us that 84% of all people who passed away last year passed away from heart attack, stroke. Let's see if we can do this right. Stroke or cancer. 84%. The amazing thing is that the average age that an individual lives today in the United States for a female, it's age 82 for females, and for males, it's age 74. However, we know through statistics and through things that are going on, the first onset of a heart attack, stroke, or cancer happens between the ages of 43 to 51. So what can we learn from that? Number one, we learned that there's some great advances in medicine because you actually have about a 75% chance of surviving your first heart attack. The other thing we learned from that is that people get sick at a very young age. It's the world we live in, it's the society we're in, lack of exercise, not eating correctly. People get sick, but doctors are able to help us overcome that. It would look sort of like this. You have a heart attack, you wake up in the hospital, doctor sitting at the edge of your bed, and he looks at you and he says, hey, I've got some really good news and I've got some really bad news. Good news is that we found the problem, we fixed it, and we were able to save your life, and it looks like if you take care of yourself from here on out, you're going to live another 20, 30, 40 years. Bad news is that you're going to need to take off work for the next 3 to 4 months to heal, recuperate, and get better. Now, I'm not sure about you folks who are listening to this, but most of the people I talk to, they'd have a tough time living for the next 2 to 3 weeks without a job, let alone 3 to 4 months. Because again, the world of statistics I live in says that the average age of a medical bankruptcy in the United States is 44 years old. And 86% of them had adequate health insurance. So why did they claim bankruptcy? Very simply, they lost their number one asset. They lost their ability to go to work and take care and provide for their family. If that were you and you were one of our clients, I'd be able to, or one of our agents would be able to show up in your hospital room and hand you a check, get you a get well card, and inside would be this big fat juicy check that could either pay for your income for the next 3 or 4 months while you're home. It could pay off your home. It could pay off all of your debt. It could even replace your entire income for the rest of your life, depending on how big of a program that you want us to structure for you. So again, as we go through this presentation, I want you to consider the three things: dying too soon, getting sick, and losing your ability to work, or living too long. Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. We have a crusade. We have something that we want to go out and really make sure that people in the United States understand this and take care of this. Here's our crusade. Every year, millions will suffer a critical or chronic illness, such as a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, and live to age 65, but they will be financially crippled in the process. We already talked about those average ages of people having heart attack and stroke. 1.7 million Americans will declare bankruptcy. 78% had adequate health insurance. While they're undergoing treatment and recovery, they will still have to pay. You will have to pay for a lot of things. So let's talk about that for a minute. So remember, I said that bad news doctor sitting at the edge of the bed, and you're wondering, wow, you had this feeling that something major happened to you and you survived, and you got this bit of euphoria that you're still alive, probably hurting, probably sore, but then that reality starts to sink in, and you wonder, who's going to pay for these things? Like, who's going to pay for the mortgage? Who's going to pay for the car? How are you going to even consider saving for retirement? Who's going to put food on the table? What about the kids going to college? and everything else that just keeps piling and piling and piling up. Who's going to pay for those things? Well, if you had normal, old-fashioned, traditional life insurance, you'd have to struggle to figure out who's going to pay those things or become one of those statistics of bankruptcy. However, if you were one of our clients, having what I call the next generation of life insurance, you're going to have living benefits, and we are going to be able to help take care of that. Now, so what are living benefits and who invented them? This gentleman right here, Dr. Marius Bernard, unfortunately has passed away, but he was sort of the invention. He was a heart surgeon. Him and his brother were the first two heart surgeons to do a human-to-human heart transplant, and he's the one who introduced living benefits to the insurance industry to try and get them to make sure that we can help people. Here's an actual check from an individual. Obviously, we took out his information, but Juan it was actually the first critical benefits check that we paid out. Juan had bought a policy with us, a $500,000 policy with us, and 3 months, it was either 3 or 6 months into his program, he had a stomach ache. And he went to the doctor because he just couldn't get rid of the stomach ache. And of course, you know what happened next is it was diagnosed as stomach cancer. And Juan was devastated. They did not expect him to live. His living benefits kicked in, and we were able to write Juan, I'm sorry, it's hard to say, write Juan a check, him and his family a check for $344,000. And there's some videos on our website that talk about his story and the amazing things he was able to do for his 2 boys and buy a house for his wife. And the great thing is that Juan went into remission and is actually still alive today. And one of the things he benefits that too is having this money while he was recovering and recuperating, that there was less stress in his life, and he was able to heal quicker and take care of himself. And it's just an amazing story about the things that we can do. Now, let's talk about retirement. There's all kinds of things that can go on and ways you can save money for your retirement. In the 80s, this thing we love to call the 401k came into play, and it's just an obsolete vehicle for people to save money in. And yet, in the United States today, 88 million, let me say that again, 88 million Americans are saving money in a 401k to the tune of $18 trillion. Now, I'm recording this on the last one of the last days of January, and so far this month the market has fallen a little over 10% from the start of the year, which means that somewhere around $2 trillion of that 18 trillion has already been lost. And you know, there's the reasons for 401ks not working is number one, they are full of risk, as I just mentioned. They're full of hidden fees. The average policy person who has a 401k over their lifetime will pay somewhere between 3 and 5% a year. 3 to 5% a year just to have somebody manage their money. And then of course Uncle Sam's always in the way, and we have high taxes and issues that we have to do. It's time to make a change. Consumer Reports says gotcha 401 fees, because they don't have to disclose those fees. Now, President Bush went looking for weapons of mass destruction, and some can say he found them, some can say he can't. If we take that concept and we look at 401ks, we definitely have found them, only we call them weapons of mass accumulation, and I just mentioned them: fees, risk, and taxes. According to the Wall Street Journal, if your fees are just at 2%, they can devour half of your savings. And the reality is that they're really between 3 and 5%. So they're out there. Uncle Sam wants them from you. Now, here's what I call a preview. And this is just sort of give you an idea of what an Index Universal Life can do for you versus a 401k. On the left-hand side, we have somebody who's saving $400 a month, it's $400 a month going into an Index Universal Life contract, has a projected rate of return of 7.1%, 33% tax bracket. The fees, I mean, everybody has a cost, but our costs and fees are $49,000, which means that they'll pay about $70,000 in taxes over the life of this program from 40 to 70 and have a projected income of about 45% for 50 years. Now, let's take the person on, I'm sorry, that was the person on the left. Let's take the person on the right. It's an individual saving $400 a month, getting 100% match from his company, and they've accumulated $25,000. As you can see, the average rate of return for the last 16 years, and I'm going to show you those each in just here a moment, but the average rate of return is 3.28%. 40% tax bracket will pay $350,000 in fees, will pay $300,000 in taxes while they start taking their money and start recouping it. So their total costs are $650,000 versus $120,000 on my side. Now, they do get a tax refund because it's money that goes in after or before taxes. So you do see a $45,000 refund, but your net costs are $6,000. Ours is about 1/6 of those costs. Now, if the person in a 401k takes out that same $45,000 in projected income, they have with a 3.28% return, their money will last 4 years. If we give them the same 7.1% that we're going to get over here on our side, we last 50 years, they last 10. They have $450,000 of net spendable income. We have over $1 million. And why is there such a big difference? Well, I'm going to show you that in just a minute, but Warren Buffett always has 2 rules. Number 1, never lose money. Number 2, don't forget rule number 1. Now, this is John Vogel, president of Vanguard, founder of Vanguard, one of the largest money management companies around. And he says, be prepared for at least 2 declines of between 25 and 30%, maybe even 50% in the upcoming decade. And we're starting to see that volatility today. And the big question is are you really prepared to lose 50% of all your money? 2008, people lost almost 40%. So I'm going to take a break from this presentation, and I want to go to and show you what we call our calculator for a better way to save. Just a second. So you just saw this a moment ago. We call this red line, blue line. So my question would be, and I know it's a dumb question, but my question would be, if you had a chance to put $100,000 from, we're going to go back to 1999. You had $100,000, and you had a chance to put it into a program that represented this blue line, or you had one to put it in a program that represented this red line. My question for you is, which would you choose? Red or blue? Now I know that's a dumb question, but the reality is, because almost 99.9% of the people say, well, give me the red or give me the blue line, that's where I want to be. But the reality is that the hard, cold facts is that this red line represents people who have invested money into a 401k or a 401k type program like an IRA, a 403b, a SEP program, and there's $88 million invested on this red line by 18 million people. Why did they choose that way when you obviously have a better way to save? So let's take a look real quick. I'm going to try and do this as quick as I can because I know your time's valuable. So we're going to do a 40-year-old. I'm going to do a male because I'm used to these numbers, and we're going to invest $100,000, and we're going to invest $100,000. Now, this red line represents 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, and SEP program. Remember, I told you the wealth killers in those: risk, fees, taxes, and of course the unknown. This blue line represents my index universal life. Now, we have a little bit of what we do for people is we give them a cap of 13%. Now, we also guarantee that they will never lose money. It stays at 0. So let's go year to year. I'm not going to do every year to year individually, but I really want you to see this. We're going to start at 1999, last year of President Bill Clinton. The market went up 19.53%. So if you were in the red line, you got $19,530. I'm capped at $13,000, and we'll talk about why the cap here in just a little bit. But that first year, you did better than I did. You did better than I did, and you probably would be happy with that. But let's look at the next 3 years. 2000, the dot-bomb companies all went under and the market lost 10%. 2001, we know what happened. The Twin Towers came down. 2002, by then we're in a full-blown recession. Your 119,000 has already dropped down to 71,000 because of these market losses. But remember I said our current floor is at 0%. You don't lose money if the market goes down. So you've maintained that 113,000. So now my blue side's looking just a little bit better. Now the market comes back up in 2003 because the government decides to get involved and help. It comes up 26%, but you only get 26% of 71,000. Now it takes you to 90,000, but I get 13% on my 13,000, and I'm starting to pull ahead of you. Again, you get all these years plus, 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 plus. Look at this, 2007. You are 8 years into your program, and you finally, 8 years, you finally get ready to come back to where you started in the program and get even. Okay. Now, 2008. Pretty much everyone remembers 2008. I'm gonna move these numbers up just a little bit. 2008, we remember. Market crash. I know people who lost $30, $40, $50, $100,000 in their plans because they were so dedicated to a 401k. Market destroys your money. Mine, I get to keep every penny that I've had because I didn't lose any money. Now, after 2008, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. The market, history of the market has never gone 7 years with a growth, 7 years in a row, 7 bull markets in a row. And it happened again because in 2015, the market fell almost a point. But here's what I want you to see. You have all this money, all this money, all this money, all this money, and it grows, but it takes so long to recoup those losses. By the end of the time you get to 2015, 17 years, your actual rate of return is 3.4%. My actual rate of return is 6.7%. I've doubled your money. Now, I told you I was going to show you how to triple your money because we haven't talked about the rest. This is just risk. This is just number one. If I can eliminate risk alone, I can double your money. But now let's look at fees. Remember I said the average fee was between 3 and 5%? I'm just going to put in, I'll put in 3%, just the low side. Now, on the low side, 3%, you now pay $51,598. Now, hear me and hear me very clearly. I have an insurance contract. We have costs and fees of our own. But my costs and fees are fixed, and they're fixed based on the amount of insurance you have. You're paying fees on gains and losses, So right now, you have your 166 is down to 114. My 303 is down to 263. I'm almost 2.5 times more than you, but I'm not done because we need to add in taxes. And let's just be kind and say you're in a 30% tax bracket. But I want to ask you a question. Between now and the time you get ready to retire, do you think taxes are going to go up or go down? This country is what, 18, 19 trillion dollars in debt? There's no choice but for taxes to go up. But I'm just going to use a 30% tax bracket. At a 30% tax bracket, you now have spendable income of $80,260. I have spendable income of $263,000 because everything that comes out of my program, my plan, is tax-free. 328% more money. Now, this is a program in what we call Index Universal Life that is based on an index of the S&P. I also have the availability to do a plan. We call it the Edge. It's specifically written for our company. And I can go into a program that has, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought, that the index instead of the S&P can be the real estate, Dow Jones real estate market. And remember I said that the S&P had a 13% cap? Well, this thing has no cap. So if there's a year that went up 25.98%, we do take off a 1.5 spread that brings you down to 24.48. Or I can do a gold index. And right now gold is starting to come back. It had a bad couple of years here, but it's starting to come back. As the S&P goes down, gold goes up. Or I can do a combination of all three and bring you into where you can share. And you can bounce back and forth on all of these. But that's just to let you know that we have different options and things to do with our ability to choose what indexes you'd like to go in. So remember that first red line, blue line? Let's go back, take a quick peek. This is just 100,000 since 1999 to 2015. Now, this is what it looks like based on the mixing the indexes with the three different choices that you have. It's just crazy. It is just crazy. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you in black and white how an illustration would work with somebody at your age. So I'm going to take a male age 45. We're going to consider them to be preferred. And just take me a second to plug in their numbers. It looks like it logged me out, so it'll take me just a quick second to log back in. Sorry about that. But what this is going to do is I want to show you a 45-year-old putting money into a program and then taking that same 45-year-old and putting them into a 401k and show you the difference in black and white, how money lasts, and exactly what we can do for you. So again, we're going to start with that 45-year-old. Let me go through here and we'll do what we call funding. I'm going to do what's called a minimum death benefit maximum cash, because we want to make sure that the minimum amount of, or that the maximum amount of money that you're putting into your contract goes towards building cash for your retirement. So the average person that we use in our company that puts money away, puts away about $100 a week. So I'm going to use that $400 a month figure. Now, if they're 45, we're going to show it being paid out until age 70. So that would be 1-25 years. And then we're going to show taking an income out. I'm going to ask it to show me the maximum income I can take for the next 45 years. So we're going to take a real quick view, because there's some numbers I want to pull off of here, and I want you to show I'm not making up numbers. So again, we're putting in $400 a month, $4,800 a year. You can see that you initially start off with $259,660 of life insurance protection. And if I go down here to age 70, you will start at age 70, this 45-year-old would start taking out $25,155 a year tax-free income. Tax-free for the rest, for the next 50 years, so basically for the rest of their life. But I want you to look at something here. This is their cash accumulation column, $234,000, 521. So we're going to take out, we're going to move ahead, we're going to take out 25,000. Let's go all the way down here to 80, year 80, if I can highlight this. It's not going to let me highlight it. Your $234,000 at age 80 is now worth $468,000. It's almost doubled. And yet you've taken out $25,000 a year for 10 years. That's $250,000. How does that work? Why does that work? $234,000, you take out $250,000, but your account is now worth $468,000. Guys, it's called the magic of insurance arbitrage, because the way we take this money excuse me, out of your account is we take it out through a loan process. Now, it's loaned back to you. That way it is tax-free coming out, because you don't tax a loan. It's taken out at a low interest rate while this is still accumulating and growing at a high interest rate. And it is just a miracle how that thing works, okay? So let me go back to the calculator, because I got the numbers that I needed. And we're going to look at money lasting, okay? So I said we were putting away $400 a month. So we're going to assume we're going to put $400 a month on an IRA 401k. And let's be generous, okay? I just want to blow your mind away here for a minute. We're going to say that the company that I'm working for is giving me 100% match. So you got $9,600 a year going into your 401k. And I want to be generous again, and I'm going to say, because I want to show you just how bad I can beat this program. Let's say you've been in it for a while, and you've got $25,000 accumulated in your account. All right, so we're going to say, again, I'm going to be very conservative. You're in a 33, well, it gives me a 35% tax bracket. That rate of return was 3.28. That was the actual rate of return that we looked at, right? And we're going to say that, again, we started at age 45. Oh, if I can hit the right button. We started, no, not 31. We started at age 45. And we're going to retire at age 70. Because 70, ladies and gentlemen, it's the new 65. It's just a fact and reality. So if you did that, $400,000, $400, 100% match, $9,600 a year, $25,000 already accumulated, boom, you've got $431,000 sitting in your 401k at age 70, ready to take out. All right, so let's come back over here, and we're going to come in here. My projected IUL income was $25,155. Now taxes, we're gonna do taxes again. We're gonna go at that 33%. And let's take a look at this. My rate of return, we're gonna adjust the rate of return because my rate of return is 7.01. because that's what the average that we've paid on our contract. I'm sorry, I did that the wrong way. 3.28. That's I put it in the wrong place. Okay. If on my plan, you're going to have $25,155 a year coming out. If you took that same, here's what this shows over here. If you took that same $25,000 a year out of your $431,000 401k, you're going to get money for 14 years. I'm going to be able to give you money for 50 years. 14 years versus 50 years. Not sure about you, but I think that there's a bit of a difference there. Now, this shows us right here how much money we've paid in taxes, how much money we've paid in fees, and I need to put in a annual rate of fees. Now listen to this, look at this. I want you to watch this. I want you to watch this green line right here, because this is assuming that I haven't paid any fees. Okay, but remember I said that a 401k you will pay between 3 and 5%. Let's take out the 3% in fees. Now your money only lasts for 7 years. 7 years instead of 14 years because you had to pay the fees. It is amazing how much money you lose by having to pay fees and having to pay taxes. So I want to come back to my first original screen here. Let's compare these two together. $400 a month going into the 401k. $400 match. $25,000 accumulated. Now, if I did this into the IUL that I just showed you, we're putting in $400 a month. I don't have a match. I can't get you a match. If you went to your employer and said, hey, I want to do this instead of what I'm doing, they're not going to give you a match, so you're only putting in $400. You're starting out with zero. Again, I can show you how to move that $25,000 over, but I don't want to do that right now. So I said one of the things that's going to happen to you is that you're going to die too soon. So if you're in your 401k and you died too soon, your family's going to get $25,000 less taxes, which is about 30–40%. However, if you're and I assumed you had $25,000 in there. If you're just starting your 401k, you may not have that much money in there. So if you die, they're only going to get what you have accumulated. In our program, if you died too soon, you had $259,660 in death benefit life insurance to give to your family. Now, I know, again, I'm going to ask a dumb question, but is 259 bigger than 25? I think it is. Number two, you're going to get sick. If you get sick, I'm going to put this down because I want it all on the same page so you can see it all together. If you get sick in your 401k, you're going to maybe have access to that $25,000. But if, again, you're going to pay taxes and now you're going to pay penalties, and you're going to lose probably around 50% of that, okay? In my program, you're going to have those living benefits, remember? Those living benefits would be somewhere up to, you could get up to probably somewhere around $225,000. Again, is $225,000 larger than half of $25,000? I think it is. And that last thing, living too long. In your 401k, if you took out that $25,155 a year, your money will last somewhere between 4 and 7 years. And at that point in time, you are out of money. With my Index Universal Life Plan, that $25,000 a year, $25,155 will pay you for the next 50 years, or to, if I could spell, to age 120. Let's do it this way. So my question to you guys is, you have a 401k that's going to eat your money up through risk, fees, and in taxes, or you have an Index Universal Life policy that will pay you in case you die too soon, that will pay you to live in case you get sick, and will pay you for the rest of your life in a projected income, tax-free for the rest of your life. So my question is, do you want to save the same amount of money, or would you like to save more? It's your choice. It's your choice. So at this point in time, I'd like to, who is ever showing you this video, I would like to ask them to just go ahead and have that conversation with you. Thank you for your time.